my brothers and sisters who have a drug problem. I know how you feel. I know how you feel. And those people that know me know that I know how you feel. I had that problem myself. And even after Islam, Shaitan tried to destroy me through that again. And I don't think Shaitan will ever stop trying to destroy me through that again. The point behind this being is we are all weak. But Allah says in the Quran, O you who believe, do not approach Salat when you are intoxicated, when your mind is enshrouded, when you're not thinking clearly, until you know what you say. This means that Allah is inviting you to try again. So you read the Quran and you have declared your Islam. And now the test begins. And you're doing good for 6 months. And then somehow, in a moment of weakness, you smoke weed. Or you drink a little. And then you just give up. You see yourself as a failure and you just do it again. Not remembering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you to pray again. To try again. Do not think that because you have stumbled, that makes you a lost cause. Allah made many things haram. Many things. Haram, forbidden. You cannot kill people. You cannot cheat. You cannot lie. You cannot bear false witness. You cannot accuse people unjustly. You have to respect your parents. You cannot fornicate. Those are haram things. Allah says in the Quran, this is haram. This is haram. Intoxicants and gambling are something that makes you do haram things. Just like Salah protects you from doing haram things, intoxicants and gambling prevent you from Salah, prevent you from remembering Allah, and causes you to do haram things. Anyone who ever got drunk knows that alcohol causes you to do haram things. Women become easy. Men become aggressive. That's where the fights are. That's where the conflict is. So Allah tells you in the Quran, and I will paraphrase, O you who believe, intoxicants and gambling, and altars and divining arrows are abominations of Shaitan. And then Allah goes on to say why. What is Shaitan trying to do with them? And then Allah says, Shaitan is trying to introduce hatred and animosity among you with intoxicants and gambling, and cause you and prevent you from praying and cause you to forget about Allah. And then Allah asks me, will you not then stop? It's like a father giving their child an advice, or a mother, out of love. Don't do this, son. Don't do this, daughter, because I love you, because I know the consequences even though you don't know them yet. And we all know, as children, we don't understand sometimes why our parents try to, quote, control us? Why do they tell us not to do these things? Why do they forbid us these things? And after we grow up, we understand why. After we live it, we understand why. Allah knows everything. Everything. Allah knows why, everything. And even though we haven't grown up yet, and we don't know, we need to trust Allah. If you've never tried drugs, this is an advice you must heed. You cannot pray intoxicated. Prayer is what protects you from sin. It helps you remember Allah, which also protects you from sin. And not doing sin protects you from the hellfire. And you will die. And you will stand before Allah. So Allah tells you, these intoxicants and this gambling, they're a trick. Don't do it. They are a trick. But if you do it, do not pray. Allah says basically, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you, drunkard, while you're drunk, because you don't know what you're saying. And whoever ever met a really drunk person while they were sober, they know what I'm talking about. If you ever met that drunk person and you're sober and you're like, God, just get the hell away from me, man. So Allah says, don't talk to me, don't pray when you're drunk until you know what you're saying, until you sober up. And then Allah invites you to try again. So if you've never tried it, don't try it at all. You become a slave to it. You become a slave to it. Like a heroin addict becoming a slave to heroin. That is like you being a slave to food. When you get hungry, you start feeling pain. And the only thing you start thinking about is food. When a heroin addict starts having cravings, and then he doesn't get his, quote, food, he experiences 10 times more pain than you if you don't eat. He is a slave. A slave. And that's what every substance, that's what every drug. Anything that makes you feel good is a trick as far as drugs are concerned. That is the point. Shaitan wants you to feel good so you can forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can be intoxicated. And the better the drug, the better the slave. The more obedient the slave. The slave will do anything for the drug. Because now the drug is the slave's God. His desire for the drug is the slave's God. So if you try it, and you like it, you may never be free from it again. And you may end up in the hellfire, because it will make you do all kinds of haram things. All kinds of haram things. You will be around all kinds of evil people. Even if it's just alcohol. Alcohol is probably one of the worst drugs. You will be around evil people. And you will do haram things. And because of those haram things that you will do, you may end up in the hellfire. You will ruin yourself. And if you have tried drugs, like me, like many people I know, you will know that it is a never-ending fight. It will never end unless Allah has mercy on you some years down the road and makes you forget about it. Shaitan will not leave you alone. And he will cause you to stumble, as he has caused me to stumble, and as he has caused many people to stumble. And those who stumble, some have fell, and they have stayed down. Others have stood up, regrouped, kept up their prayers, remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remembered their purpose in life, repented, and tried again. And of those, some have failed again, some have stayed successful. And of those who have failed again, some have failed for good, some have tried again. It is not easy, but you have to free yourself from slavery. And if you are a slave to a drug, you are not a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So be careful. Be very, very careful. Watch who you hang around with. Even if you never had an alcohol problem, you have no business being in a bar. Because people who drink alcohol are in a bar. And people who drink alcohol may have done the drug that you like to do. They may have it. And you may be having a bad day. The world is against you. Your wife left you. Anything. And in the state of weakness, Shaitan comes to you and says, I have something that will help you. And it may help you in that moment. But it may enslave you again. So be careful. If you stumble, do not abandon your salah. That is the only thing you have. The only thing you have. And if you keep up your salah, and you try to hang around the right people, those people will help you. So be careful. Insha'Allah, we will get the help we need to clear our minds, to clear our hearts, to raise ourselves above the depravity that Shaitan has enslaved us into, because we were naive. We live depraved lives. You have to clean yourself, and you have to stay clean. Otherwise, you are destined for slavery in this dunya and fire in the akhirah. And fire in the hereafter. A junkie here and the condemned one there. For what? So keep up your prayers. And you will soon enough see that if you're getting high, you have to try to get high around your prayers, so you can be sober for the next prayer. And that doesn't work that often. So then you will face a decision: am I a Muslim? Do I follow Allah and I go pray, or am I a kuffar? I follow Shaitan and I go get high and I go gamble. And that decision is going to be the decision of your life. Like it is the decision of my life, like it is the decision of everyone's life that has ever tried drugs.